Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Inside Guns with your host, me, the Yankee Marshal. Today, I want to talk about something that I think is potentially very good news. I want to talk about the fact that the Supreme Court has decided to hear a pro-Second Amendment case, a case challenging New York's restrictions against concealed carry permits. Now, I think we were all following the case from Hawaii recently in the Ninth Circuit and how they won in the Ninth Circuit, and then it got overturned en banc, with their hand-picked judges for the en banc hearing to overturn it. Well, it seems like this New York case is the first one to make it to the Supreme Court, and it would make that Ninth Circuit verdict null and void if it goes in our favor. So a lot of people are wondering, well, why didn't they take up the California one, the Hawaii one in the Ninth Circuit? Well, it's because they don't have to. If they rule a certain way in this New York one, they're not going to have to worry about that one. It's going to be taken care of. And what they've agreed to hear is a case against New York's restrictive requirements on carry permits. They are a may issue state, not a shall issue state, basically. Meaning you have to say, I have special needs for why I have to be able to carry a gun outside my home. There are several states that do this. They effectively limit your ability to carry completely. They just make it to where you cannot carry a firearm outside your home because they outlaw open carry, and then they make concealed carry permits extremely hard to get. Back in the day, this is one of the reasons they do this, is back in the day, there were lots of court cases that pretty much upheld the idea that if you could carry one way or the other, you weren't denied a specific right to open carry or concealed carry, which if you paid attention to the Ninth Circuit en banc hearing, they made it clear they were ruling there's no constitutional guaranteed right to open carry a gun. And then they didn't decide on the concealed carry case because they used some sleight of hand and legal mumbo jumbo to not actually rule on that. So, like I said, since precedence has always been, as long as you can carry one way or the other, you're pretty much covered under the Second Amendment. Well, a lot of states, because of that, they banned open carry, usually for racist reasons, like when California banned open carry because, the Black Panthers had the nerve to carry guns. These states, they would ban open carry, and then they offered permits for concealed carry. That way they could say, see, we're not denying anybody their right. They just have to go through the extra step to get the permit, and a lot of people were okay with that, especially a lot of FUDs who thought that certain people shouldn't have guns anyway. If you can't take the extra step to go get a permit, you don't need a gun. That attitude is still very prevalent. So they made carry permits. And over time, they started making it more and more restrictive, some states, on who can get a carry permit. To where in several states now, if you're not well-connected, wealthy, you cannot get a permit, period. You have to be those things, well-connected, wealthy, or a politician. And then you can carry, but otherwise, if you're just an ordinary, average, everyday Joe, no, you don't get a permit. Well, this case is being taken up now by the Supreme Court to say, is that okay? If you don't have open carry, can you deny anybody a concealed carry permit? That's basically what they'll be deciding. That if you're not offering open carry, you have to give everybody a permit if you have a permit system. Now, I'm hoping it'll go even further than that, and I'll talk about that in a second. But basically, they're going to be hearing this case against New York City. Now, a lot of people are afraid that New York is going to change the law so that the case doesn't get heard. But even that would be a victory in a way. If New York City tomorrow had to admit, crap, we're going to have to just become a shall issue state to avoid the Supreme Court toppling these everywhere, that would be an admission that they know they're going to lose in the court. And even though it would only be one state that changed, I would still consider that a victory. So all the people worrying about that, I don't see that happening. But even if it did, I would still consider that a victory. And it would just be kicking the can down the road until the case finally got heard in the Supreme Court or got taken down state by state. Now, a lot of people were worried that the Supreme Court weren't going to take any cases, regarding the Second Amendment. I've been saying in my live chats for a long time now, it's time to put up or shut up by the court. Either you're constitutionalists or you're not. You can't be selling us all on the fact that, Amy Coney Barrett's such a constitutionalist and Kavanaugh's such an originalist and blah, 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 if they don't rule that way in anything. And they continue to avoid cases where they would have to prove it. Well, it looks like they're taking one up. And something that's very reassuring here is it seems to have been taken up on the drive of conservative judges like Alito, Thomas, etc. They've been wanting to hear these cases for a while, but they were always afraid that they wouldn't get that fifth vote, that fifth pro-Second Amendment vote when Ginsburg was there, etc. Now, because of Gorsuch and Barrett, they believe they have the 5 votes. Kavanaugh's a wild card. We'll see how he goes. But they think that they can count on Gorsuch and Barrett. So, looking very promising. But the way the court is made up, it's looking like they could very easily say people do have a right to carry outside their home, an opinion that's been stated by several of the justices that are sitting right now. And if you're going to deny them open carry, then you have to allow concealed carry. If you're going to ban concealed carry, you have to allow open carry, which has been, like I said, a kind of an understood legal principle for a long time, but has been being abused and ignored in recent times. So they could easily do that. They could easily say you either have to have one or the other. I would like them to take it a step further and say that since carrying a firearm outside the home is a guaranteed constitutional right, you don't get to be involved, period, and permits are not a thing that should even exist. I would love to see them go that far. I don't think they would go that far in this first case regarding carry outside your home, but I'm hopeful. But I am very optimistic about the fact that they will declare that carrying a firearm outside your home for self-protection is a guaranteed right. Just based on the makeup of the court, the things the justices that are there have said in the past, even the ones that weren't on the Supreme Court when they said it, the things they've said makes it look like this is going to be a slam dunk case. And if you look at the case New York City's making about why they restrict carry permits, it's ridiculous. Their Attorney General, I forget her name, I think it's Loretta James or something like that, but their Attorney General, one of the arguments when she was trying to get the Supreme Court, I mean, they have been lobbying the Supreme Court hard to not take the case. If they thought they had a chance of winning, believe me, they'd want it declared by the Supreme Court that, yeah, you don't have a right to carry a gun. They'd want that. But they don't think they have much chance of winning, is why they don't want it taken up. And one of the arguments they made is that their restrictions on people allowed to carry guns has to be done to combat the high numbers of suicides by people who have a carry permit. That is the most ridiculous argument I've ever heard. How many people that commit suicide with their firearm, whether they have a carry permit or not, do it in public? Not many. And people who do tend to do it in public tend to do it with rental guns at a range or something like that, or do suicide by cop while committing a crime. So if you're going to break the law and take the gun out and commit suicide by cop, are you really going to let the fact of whether you have a carry permit or not stop you? If you're going to end your own life, are you going to let the fact that, oh my God, if I end my own life with a gun, they might take my carry permit away? Or I can't do this because I'm not allowed to carry my gun outside. I was going to go outside with my rifle and commit suicide in the town square, but I can't do it because I'm not allowed to take my rifle outside. It doesn't make any sense. None of their arguments, none of the anti-gunner arguments make any sense. They're holdovers of a very racist society that modern day leftists have tried to tie themselves into knots to defend with bogus arguments and ridiculous, illogical bullshit. So, like I said, I'm very hopeful on this. I think it looks very promising. Very promising. So, keep your eyes on the Supreme Court coming up because, like I said, they are going to be hearing this New York case. If something happened, New York changed their laws and the court still didn't hear it, which I think they would still hear it even if they did change their laws because this is something that's looking to be settled like in the Ninth Circuit also. So I think they would still hear it. But even if they said, oh, well, we don't need to hear it now because this is specific to New York and New York just said carry permits for everyone, huge victory for the people in New York. And then we can start working on the same victory for other states. So it'd still be a positive. But if they hear it, I do think it will go our way. And if it goes our way, I can't make it seem too important. I can't overstress how important this ruling would be for the Second Amendment. to finally have it written down in modern times that you are guaranteed a right to carry a firearm for self-defense outside your home, much like Heller did in Washington when they said, Washington, D.C., when they said you have the right to have a firearm for self-defense, therefore they can't ban you from owning them in Washington, D.C. This would be Heller times 10 because it would take it to that next level, that you have a right to self-defense no matter where you are. And that's the only logical step. I mean, you're not entitled to self-defense only in your home. How often do you need to use self-defense in your home? 9 out of 10 times you're going to have to defend yourself. It's probably going to be outside of your home, except for like in home invasion situations, etc., which are not as common as some people like to make you think they are. So this is the logical step. If you have the right to defend yourself in your home, surely you have a right to defend yourself out on the streets. And if you have a right to defend yourself with a firearm in your home, surely you have a right to defend yourself with your firearm in the streets. It's only logical. So I'm very hopeful about this case. Like I say, it could be multiple wins here. It could go so far as to even get rid of carry permits, period. Don't think it'll go that far. But I think it is going to be a major victory. So pay attention. Don't let up. Keep being vocal, being visible, being out there, being good representatives of the Second Amendment, keeping our heads about us, not trying to alienate everybody. And there's another thing. Don't try to alienate people with this. If we win, and while it's in the courts, try to win people to our side. Try to get public support. Don't try to rub this in people's faces or act like idiots to where people go, those are the people that are going to get guns, the ones that are out there now waving their rifles around and talking about how they hate this group or hate that group or fuck the liberals, blah, 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 all that stuff, and now they got guns. Let's not do that shit because that doesn't win us any allies. And we're right now on the cusp of some great victories, and we're going to need, even if we win, we're going to have to start turning public interest in our favor, because if public interest turns enough against us or public opinion turns enough against us, we could lose our rights because there's things like amendments, etc. And we'd have to be fighting battles of laws all the time. Best way to win and keep our victories, best way to win right now is in the courts, and the best way to keep those victories is keep the people on our side. So let's be adult about it when we win. And I think we are going to win. So like I said, I just wanted to talk about that today. I didn't mean to ramble about it for this long, but wanted to let you all know the Second Amendment is finally getting its due time in court at the Supreme Court level since the first time since Heller. Remember how thrilled we were after Heller? I think we got another one of those coming. But like I said, keep your fingers crossed. Don't take anything for granted. And let's be mature, responsible gun owners. Let's provide positive role models for people out there. And let's be reasonable. Let's not be fearmongers or assholes or whatever, just because we can make a buck doing it. Right now, it looks like we are poised to win, and let's be good winners. Hey, I rambled a little longer on that first part than I wanted to there. So I want to go ahead and end the show today with something that is basically a correction. Something where I stuck my foot in my mouth, and now I need to set the record straight. I didn't mean to. It wasn't like I said something that was untrue. It's just I very poorly said something, and people thought I was saying one thing when I was saying another. And then when I looked at it, I'm like, oh, I see why they think I'm saying the other thing, because that's very poorly worded. And so I had made a post on Instagram where I said, I don't like the fact that we have these. What I was trying to say is that, you do your 4473 by computer now. Used to be you just called in and blah, blah, blah. Now most shops have to do it on computer. That's what the ATF wants. It's what the FBI wants, blah, blah, blah. That's what they've been moving towards. So a lot of shops now use the iPads to get their information. Now there's nothing wrong with using the iPad to get the information. Because, in fact, it's almost needed, because if you've ever worked in a gun shop, 3/4 of you losers are illiterate. I mean, I've never seen people that, chicken scratches. I try to read their paperwork. I've had people write me letters or notes, and I'm like, you should really type everything you do, because this is illegible. And I've told you how people who order stuff don't even know how to write their own addresses. It's just illiteracy. I'm not saying bad people, just I don't think they spend a lot of time practicing their alphabet. Let's just say that. So I didn't like the fact. I know why it has to be done on this stuff and computers, because the ATF even gets the reports and they're like, oh my God. But I didn't like the fact that this stuff is on an electronic device. And not because I thought, oh, the gun shops are cooperating with sending information to the ATF they shouldn't have, like what gun you're buying specifically. I was saying the fact that it's in electronic form means the government could spy on you and get information they aren't supposed to be getting. Because they, remember what happened after 9/11 and with the Patriot Act and how they were tapping all of our phones and listening to all of our conversations and reading all of our emails. How hard would it be for them to start the small number of gun shops that are in the country and start monitoring their electronic stuff? Which would be totally illegal. Well, maybe not under the Patriot Act. But how hard would it be to think that they would do that? So that's what I was trying to say. I was trying to say, I don't like the fact that we're moving towards an electronic age and there's no real checks on the government as far as this stuff goes because of the Patriot Act. That took away every box that the government used to have to check before they did anything. Now they have kind of a blank check to do anything they want to do that violates your privacy, and violating the privacy of a business that holds a federal license would be no big step for them. I'm surprised they aren't already doing it if they aren't. So that was kind of the point I was making. And some people were like, oh, you're saying your gun shop's transmitting the information to the ATF of what you're buying? No, that wasn't what I was implying at all. Believe me, sporting systems where I shop would not send any information to the ATF or the FBI that they did not have to send to them. They are not exactly, they're not FUDs, let's just say that. In fact, they're probably the largest, most active force in fighting against anti-gun rules in the state of Washington than any other group. Bigger than the NRA, more important than the GOA, etc. The owners of sporting systems do more to maintain our rights as individuals in this state and therefore the rest of the country also, because everyone should worry about their state first, then national, because all politics are local. They are probably, I wouldn't even say probably, I'll just say they are the single largest driving force for our rights in the state of Washington. So if you're someone who wants to buy a gun and you're like, well, I don't want to buy one somewhere where they don't give any information that they don't have to. Anything they give the government is because the government has said this is the way we want to do it and this is the way you have to do it. They won't comply with anything. And even if they thought something was, and I can tell you right now, if they thought something was egregious, they'd take up a court case. So don't ever feel worried about buying something from sporting systems. In fact, when you do, you're actually fighting for our gun rights in this country. Because like I say, they're just not a gun shop that just takes the money and sits back and lets the politics be handled by someone else. They are very active. So that really doesn't have to do with what I was posting, but a lot of people got the wrong idea and they thought I was saying that gun shops are now gathering the information, extra information, and sending to the government that they don't need to send. No, that's not what I was saying. I was saying that because everything is moving towards an electronic platform, and that's just the way things are today, I don't like that, maybe because I'm old, and I don't trust the government to not break the law or be unscrupulous, let's say. Because I don't even know if I can say break the law with the Patriot Act in existence. That thing needs to go away. So that's what I was trying to say. I think the government is having more and more opportunity to do wrong the more technologically advanced we become. I mean, nowadays, used to be how hard, it would have been very hard for the government to know everything you were doing, listen to your conversations. They'd have to, actually physically tap your lines, etc. Now, when everybody doing everything electronically on their phones, it's just basically they just have to try. They just have to have a desire to do it. It's very easy for them. Do it from a central location. So that was my point, that as we're getting more technologically advanced, I don't like it because I don't think the government will be honest. Remember, look what Bush was doing after 9/11. Egregious violations of our privacy, but all justified by the Patriot Act. So that was my point. Not that any gun shop is cooperating with anyone, although I bet there are some gun shops that would, because there's a lot of gun shops run by FUDs. I'm glad my gun shop is not. The one I personally use. I'm glad the ones I like online are not like that, like Grab a Gun, Patriot, Prepper Gun Shop, etc. They are good pro-Second Amendment people. So glad that I could clear that up for people. I mean, I don't have a problem coming on and saying when I say something stupid that people misinterpret. Now, like if one or two people misinterpret what I'm saying, that's probably on them. But it was like a flood of people like, oh my God, this is horrible. I'm like, what are they talking about? So then I'm like, oh, fuck. I didn't do that well. I shouldn't do posts at 3 a.m. when I'm high on Mike and Ike's. Let's just say that. But that's what I was trying to say. Wanted to clear that up. And with that, that's all I got to say. All right, everybody, that's our show for today. I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you come back again tomorrow, which I'll get back more onto a normal format. Hopefully I won't be so rambly and have to make corrections for stupid shit I've said. Or at least not, I won't have said anything stupid enough that I feel the need to justify it. I'm sure I'll say stupid things, but not enough to actually devote part of the show to. So with that being said, I want to sign off as usual by saying, as far as the state of the world today is concerned, you know, it is what it is. It ain't that bad, but it could be better. And what it will be in the future, like I said, especially now with this Second Amendment case going forward, I'm really optimistic that what things will be in the future, if we keep our heads about us, we fight smart, we ignore the profiteers and the fearmongers, the future, for those of us that are concerned about personal freedom and the Second Amendment, things will be a lot better.